Namaskar and a very good morning. Welcome to the audio cast from Kotak Securities. I'm your host and guide, Anindya Banerjee. There are days when the data in the market and the market's response are completely different, and yesterday was one such night. The US CPI was much higher than expected. जिसके कारण now the market is pricing in the Fed funds to touch even or the Fed to hike to almost as high as 5%, last seen in 2006, just before the subprime crisis. But at the same time, what happened in the financial market was initially the dollar rose, yields rose, and equities sold off. But then the whole thing turned on its head, and the equities soared upwards. Dollar index fell sharply, and the U.S. bond yields pulled back, and the commodity is rallied as well. So it's a typical risk-on move across the financial markets. Dollar rupee in the offshore, which went up as high as 82.81 on the spot reference, came down almost to 82 by the night. Right now it's around 82.20, 22 ke aaspaas spot reference, which means the October futures can open somewhere around 82.30, around 12 paisa gap down. Now the question is, this correction in the dollar, how long will it last? Because our pehla cheez ye ho kyun raha hai? See, in financial markets, it's not just the data or the news flow which is important. It's how the traders are positioned is equally important, which means positioning and sentiment becomes a major factor from time to time. And yesterday was one such night. Kyunki the market became so short on the risk assets and so long on the US dollar that after the news came out, it became an excuse to unwind the positions. Now, historically, the unwinding has lasted anywhere between a few days to a couple of weeks. In the dollar, we have to see how long this one lasts. But definitely the dollar index is stretched. Dollar is stretched against several currencies. It's very overbought. It requires at least a few days of correction and consolidation. But again, we are living on very uncertain times where there are a number of risks in the horizon, and the market trend can change literally on a time. Matlab, one day or the next day ke beech, the trend can be totally different. So keep that in mind. But having said that, agar dollar index ka downward correction continues for the next few days, that's well into the next week, then USDINR too can come down. The important levels to watch will be 82.10 and 81.88 on the spot levels. Now 82 half ke upar dollar rupee has been unable to sustain. So 82 half ke aaspaas aate hi on a spot basis is getting sold. So 82 half becomes the natural barrier or the upper cap, and 82.10 and 81.88 are the levels where it can come down to. Now how to play this kind of a possible or a probable price action? One thing is that right now we will not do any positional trade. We'll look for intraday opportunities. Dusra, because the premiums are high, because of high implied volatility. If you are looking to sell options, let's say weekly options, then it is advisable that you do an iron fly. Because you don't want to be caught on the wrong side if there is a sudden gap in the market. And we have seen how the market suddenly gaps. So that's why do an iron fly and not a short straddle or a strangle if you're carrying positions overnight. Intraday, we will be updating you about various trading opportunities as it presents itself. If you are looking to sell an out of money call thinking that 82.5 is now a very tough barrier to cross, then do a hedge trade, which means if you are selling an 82.75 call, then buy a 83 call, hedge it with a 83 call. So you are not exposed to an unlimited kind of risk if there is a sudden flare up in the risk. So keep that in mind. So, and now coming to the cross currencies, GBPINR is going to see a bigger up move than Euro INR. Yen INR will be under pressure, so Yen INR will be weak and it's on a downtrend. GBPINR can see an upside, Euro INR can see modest upside. GBP may we have to keep a focus, because wahan pe the talk is that the government may roll back several of its fiscal stimulus measures which they had announced a week back, and जिसके कारण we have seen a big rally in the pound. So GBP is going to be quite volatile even next week as well, क्योंकि Bank of England का जो bond buying program है that comes to an end tonight. And from Monday onwards, the market will be focused on whether there is actually a rollback or not. If there is no rollback, we can see the turmoil return, which will impact all currencies. So keep that in mind. आज important data है, US retail sales is going to be impactful on the dollar and other markets. We'll be keeping you posted on that. Before I conclude, I would mention this, that we are at very uncertain times where not just sentiment and positioning which is going to play a role, but also how various kinds of risk factors are shaping up. So during such times, one thing is very much, actually two things are extremely required. One is flexibility. You cannot have a very longer view on in the markets. That's one thing you should keep in mind. And you have to change your positions with the changing color of the market, and the market is going to change color quite rapidly and in very short notice. Second, it is better to do hedge trades if you are carrying positions overnight or over a few days. Don't do unhedged trades, so that if there is a big gap against you, you are not caught with a large loss. So do hedge trades, focus on hedge strategies rather than unlimited risk strategies. So keep that in mind. So with this, I'm signing off. A fantastic day.